Okay, cool. All right, recording is in higher quality. All right, ready to go? All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Kwan, founder of Cannabud Marketing, the #1 marketing agency for dispensaries, both in Canada and the United States. And I'm joined here by the wonderful Jonathan from WEEDAR. Thank you very much for hopping on the call.
Thank you, Brandon. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Brandon, for having me.
Awesome. So, to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was born in Ukraine. I moved to California 9 years ago. Since I moved here, I started doing cannabis, was doing a software development before that. And right now, cannabis is my day-to-day. I'm doing both offline sales and also software for cannabis industry. Cannabis is my passion, and I'm happy to see more people heavily involved in the marketing as you are. And thank you for hosting me on this podcast.
Awesome. So, how did you transition into the cannabis? I'm just very curious. So, was it always like this was always something you wanted to do, or were you kind of working a more traditional job, if you will, and then you did some entrepreneurship, and then you got into cannabis? What was that? Paint a little picture for me.
I just realized that cannabis industry is heavily promoted by music industry, by Hollywood, etc. And for me, I understood that if you give a good service, quality service, you don't have to worry about people know about cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
and you just need your job, to making people happy, delivering them good quality product on time, and giving them a good customer service.
Nice. So, were you always a interested in the cannabis space, or was it just something that kind of fell onto your lap afterwards, and it kind of just slowly became an interest?
I was looking for an industry that at a very early stage, so I can
Mm-hmm.
grow with the industry, and cannabis is one of them, as well as augmented reality that our company doing right now. So we can merging both augmented reality into cannabis industry. So that was my criteria.
So, you're an industry disruptor.
I'm trying.
One step at a time. So I know we discussed a little bit before about WEEDAR, but you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Thank you for asking about WEEDAR. WEEDAR, it's a ecosystem for cannabis brands to design and create their own loyalty program.
Mhm.
On the market, there are very few tools that allowing brands to get in direct communication with their end customers.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, most of the loyalty programs in the market are attached to a location. So we are solving this issue, helping brands, giving them tools to create and design their own loyalty.
Nice. So the way it works from the when we last spoke, and maybe I should let you speak on this a little bit better. The typical forms of loyalty is more so like on the retail side. So I think when people think loyalty, it's like Starbucks reward points or McDonald's points and all of these different things, right? Just to clarify, you're not so much on the retail side, but you're more so on the brand side, so that people can then collect points for the different brands that they end up purchasing. Is that uh,
That is correct. Yeah. We are not touching retail locations at all. We're heavily focusing especially on brands.
Mhm.
Um, One of the tools that we're giving to brands is individual QR codes that brands can put on each and one of their products that they're going to distribute.
Mhm.
And because of that, regardless where the product is sold, the end user can scan that QR code and redeem points from a brand directly. And after that, collect enough points to get a promo product or all sorts of incentives.
Right. So, how does that QR code work exactly? Is it like in the package? Is it on the package? Can people, if it's on the package, can people try and scan it before they end up actually buying it and scanning in store? Like, How does that all stuff work?
Yeah, great question. So the actual QR code is covered with a scratch film.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, like, for example, bartender cannot scan all the QR codes in the dispensary. You need to scratch it first.
Mm-hmm.
It also uh, been using by brands as a tamper evidence. Um, Also, you can use it to verify that the product is authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You can see test results from a lab for this specific product. And we're offering a customization of this QR code. So if you work with WEEDAR, you don't need any more QR codes. You
Mm-hmm.
can customize just one that works with a counterfeit tamper evidence, additional information on the product, and a loyalty QR code.
Ah, so you're saying that instead of having a separate QR code, whatever kind of security and safety measure they already have on the brand already, you can then just go ahead and provide the appropriate QR code. So then it could just get integrated with whatever kind of system optimization from a sticking point standpoint, anyways.
Yeah, it's going to be just one page
Mm-hmm.
that brand can customize on the WeedAR platform, put their social media, whatever information they want their customer to see there,
Right.
they able to do that.
Right, right. And then the points giveaways and stuff. So I know that like in the retail side, it's like more so here's points, you accumulate X amount of points, and maybe you get some discounts on future purchases and things like that, right? The way I see it is like maybe it won't be as easy for brands to do that because if the brands are saying, hey, you can get some points and we're giving something away, what then is the incentive? Like, what would be the exchange of points to whatever prizes that the brands can give away? Like, what are the things that you're seeing brands typically exchange for the points or loyalty in this situation?
Um, we're giving brand to brand a tool.
Mm,
And this is completely up to brand how they gonna
anything.
design it and what math they have behind. From what we see so far, usually it's you can get a similar product if you buy from 3 to 7 similar items,
Right.
and brand creates a separate SKU that they call it promo product. You cannot exchange points for every product from a brand. You can
Hmm.
exchange it only for specific items that brand selected as a reward items. Same time, you cannot buy those reward items for cash. You
Right.
need to collect points to get those.
Right. Right. It's interesting because there's this Netflix show called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? I'm not sure if you've ever heard about it, but Pepsi ran a guerrilla marketing campaign, and they said if you accumulate 1 million points or however many points with these purchases, you'll get a jet. So the documentary went through the entire process about how this like young kid partnered up with this like really rich millionaire that wanted to buy as many Pepsi bottles as possible. So you doing this kind of reminded me about that situation where like hopefully none of these brands make the mistake of doing that because it was a big like legal battle and things like that. But it'd be really interesting to be like, hey, if you buy X amount of product, like here's some concert tickets or something like that, right? And I think
Yep.
that incentive is a much nicer incentive for a lot of people, which now gets me into my next question: is that now, the next kind of market, the next market to get is like the Gen Zs, right? It's new up and coming people. You almost have that first to market flair where if you can capture this young generation, it will typically have a much greater compounding effect as they make more money later on, right? So, in terms of like fostering loyalty in that sense, like how do you envision capturing brands can capture loyalty with a lot of the younger people out there, whereas a lot of the older people are probably stuck in their ways of what they want to buy already?
Yeah. I think the answer is technology.
Hmm.
And this is why we're implementing augmented reality and we're using blockchain for our collectibles marketplace. Those are the tools that already well known in the Generation Z. And the more tech savvy loyalty program is going to be, the better it's going to have a better effect on how many loyal customer from that generation they can acquire.
Right. So you mentioned like the AR stuff, the augmented reality stuff, and like you said, like super. It seems to be super high tech stuff now, but I think in a few years, like this won't be as fancy as a thing right now.
Yep.
What are some examples of like AR that you're using right now for brands and things like that? Like, what is a use case scenario?
Yeah. So, for example, on our platform, you cannot find just a traditional picture.
Mm-hmm.
Every items that we have on the platform is rendered in 3D,
Mm,
and you able to interact with it. You can open the packaging, you can see how it looks inside.
mm-hmm.
Um, you can put it, for example, on your desk and see how it's gonna look on your desk. You can um, go and play like augmented reality games that we have, kind of like Pokemon Go, Treasure
Mm-hmm.
Hunt. We offer that tool, for example, for cannabis events,
Right.
where if you enter a cannabis event, you download a quick mini game, and you go from sponsor to sponsor, scanning stuff and
Yeah.
interacting, like doing things in augmented reality. Um, Also, it could work for a brand if, for example, a brand is doing a PAD, they can put a geotag on the map and say every customer that's gonna go to that dispensary and finds a geotag
Mm-hmm.
gonna get like 500 points from a brand. So we're using that augmented reality in mini games. We're using it in product presentation.
Right.
Um, if that answers your question.
Yeah. So it's like a virtual Easter egg hunt.
Yep.
Nice, nice. Capture some points, do some Pokemon stuff. I remember when everyone the Pokemon Go first came out, everyone was like doing what people normally should be doing, right? People on the streets and all that stuff. Sometimes looking at their phone too closely because a bunch of other stuff can happen. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. Maybe I'll be on the next. Whenever I see anybody else on the street, I'll be like, oh, WEEDAR probably did something crazy, and everyone's walking around doing all that stuff. That'd be really cool.
You should
But
play it yourself.
yeah, I see an awesome use case scenario for like festivals or just big events and vendors and things like that, where it's like, yeah, if you go
Yeah.
here, here, and here, you can get these points. At the end of it, you can now reclaim it for something else. A lot more interactive things than your typical, hey, here's a stamp and let's just kind of stamp things out and let's move forward. Which then takes me to kind of my next question is so we've I guess determined that technology plays a big part in the loyalty side, especially with the younger folks, because the things that seem advanced to us right now are probably super, super simple, just like how it was on the other side with computers and things, right?
Yeah.
Um, so what I'm seeing, especially in the retail space, but I'm sure you can speak on it more in the brand space, right? What are you seeing now in terms of how older brands or just older kind of people, if you will, are advertising their products, and what should they do instead of some of those older marketing strategies?
Um, I strongly believe that the actual quality of the product is almost reached at uh, highest capacity, and right now marketing strategy and specifically loyalty
Mm,
and how you interact with your customer, that's gonna determine if brand gonna survive or not.
mm-hmm,
Um, a lot of brands right now, bigger brands, uh, doing collaboration with influencers, artists, and people who want to try cannabis market.
mm-hmm,
And I think this is very good strategy because brand and influencer artists are exchanging followers and have a better brand recognition and
mm-hmm.
artist recognition. So I think it's mutually beneficial. And I'm waiting for really loyalty program, and I think every brand eventually going to have some sort of loyalty program and
Sure.
intensives for their end customers. For me, it's surprising that I would say 95% of all the brands, for example, we have in our dispensary, they don't have a loyalty program yet. They just started thinking about it or never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Um, so my recommendation is collaboration with artists, influencers, other brands to do limited drops, something that people can collect, and build a strong loyalty program.
That's interesting because there's a like I think back in the day, a lot of brands, used to be able to be the brand that sells a product. So for example, you had your Coca-Colas. They didn't need anybody else to promote their brand. They were Coca-Cola. right? McDonald's, like a lot of these big guys. But it's seemingly now with the case, and I speak with my clients all the time, is like people now no longer necessarily interact as heavily with brands as they used to do. They interact with people. So it's their favorite celebrity, it's their favorite rapper, it's their favorite actor, it's their favorite chef, even, right? And then you have kind of micro influencers in this space. So I find it a very interesting point in time right now where, from a marketing perspective, it's now based on a lot of the, I guess, micro niches, if you will, right? One person with maybe 40,000 followers, right, might have a much bigger impact from an ROI perspective than you saying working with somebody with 5 million followers that doesn't really have that sort of those like really supportive fans, if you will, right? Just kind of the generalist fans. So I just found that like an interesting insight from just like a marketing perspective, overall.
I think the reason for that, and we noted that too, that people with a lower amount of followers are more efficient usually for marketing campaigns,
Right.
and I think reason for that, until you like reach a certain point as an influencer, you have a lot of local followers,
Right.
and especially in the cannabis market, it's very important because, for example, in California, we cannot ship goods to other state,
Right.
and people like influencers who have million followers, few million followers, most likely those followers either nationwide or
Hmm.
all around the world. So it doesn't make sense to promote a cannabis product with them because we simply cannot ship it there.
Right.
And instead of you finding somebody with 40,000 followers, usually it's local people. And just because it's in the same location, it's going to have a better effect.
Hmm. Hmm. And now that we're talking about all this, I'm just curious, like, what's stopping you from just like doing this in other industries? Can you not just apply this strategy to just any other brand that's in a retail store?
Uh, what's stopping us as WEEDAR was stopping brands.
No, what's stopping you is WEEDAR. So obviously it might not be under the WEEDAR name, right? But just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
loyalty framework as a whole. Do you have any plans to kind of just like expand the empire into, once you've conquered the cannabis space, you can just essentially use the same framework for, I don't know, some other space that's out there?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, we're thinking about it, and we have some ideas how we can make other industry uh, better in a way. And we believe in baby steps, if you will, where first we're gonna prove it in the cannabis industry,
Yeah.
and we're gonna cross that bridge once we get there. Cannabis industry is big enough
Right.
for us to serve, and what I really believe one of our benefits and why people, especially in cannabis industry, should choose WEEDAR
Hmm.
among other companies who are providing similar services, because this is a product that built it by people from the industry for people in the
Mm,
industry,
mm,
and it's gonna be tough to go to other industry where we don't
sure.
have that much knowledge, kind of on the back end. At the same time, this is our advantage because we know cannabis industry, especially in
Right.
California.
Right.
Uh, I would say in our teams there is no question in the cannabis industry that we cannot answer,
Right.
and we're happy to share that knowledge with brands, with people that we work with.
Right. Right. I mean, that makes complete sense. It's also the reason why I only do marketing in this space and I don't just do marketing for everyone else, right?
Yeah,
But that's super smart. The the compounding knowledge is, I think, an underrated thing when you specify in one industry, because then you're able to provide a level of expertise that other people just won't be able to provide if they just tried to help everyone else, right?
yep.
So now on the profitability side of things, so you mentioned, you have a few retail stores, and then obviously you're working with like multiple brands. So we're seeing in the space right now, like margins are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, with the looming gloom of the recession, or so they say, or anyways, the bad R
Hmm.
word. How would you recommend brands retain their profitability or maximize their profitability?
In states where it's possible to be vertically integrated,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first step to really maximize your
Right.
profit. And besides bringing a good quality product, really focus on the relationship with end customers
Mm,
and make sure you retain those. That's why I'm saying I see in the future every cannabis brand gonna have a loyalty program.
right.
Because
Right.
without your customer support, without your loyal clientele,
Right.
you're just not gonna survive.
Right.
You cannot build a good business just on tourists and people who's trying your product for one time.
Yeah.
You really need to be focusing on the loyal folks, and hopefully brands will understand that earlier than later.
Right, right. And I think we also touched on something I found really important, maybe even arguably more important than the points. That's yet to be decided. But you mentioned that along with the points and the scanning, you also have customer data information. Who purchased your product, what type of demographics, male, female, age, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit about that on the data capturing side, because I think that also plays into profitability, right? Because I think a marketing budget that doesn't know who to target is not a profitable marketing budget, right? Like if you don't know if your
Hmm.
core demographic likes, I don't know, rock music or they like classical music and you're trying to advertise to somebody that likes country music, right? You're just wasting your money, right? So talk
Yep.
a little bit about the advantages that WEEDAR has for the data collection side too, because I found that interesting.
Yeah. So what we offer to all our clients, to brands, that once customer scan the QR code, brand gets a full customer profile such as
Mm.
full name, phone number, email.
Yeah.
When customer places an order, a brand gets customer ID and the location where the customer is,
Mm-hmm.
as well as many details as we can pull just through customer mobile device. And through the platform, brands can create marketing campaigns where they are targeting like either a specific zip code
Mm-hmm.
or a specific group of customer or individual customer to send them push notification, email, or a text message. Um, all the customers are belongs to brand,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not claiming those customers as with our customer.
Sure.
It's all brands customer.
Right.
We keep in the right to promote our um, device that's going to be on the market towards the end of the year, beginning of 2024, a
Right.
stash box. And besides that, like brand have a complete customer profile, ability to outreach those customers through the admin panel. And I think we're talking about marketing campaign. Every time we hear that user acquisition costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really important. And with tools that we have on the market right now, I don't know, like social media, or for example, promo in dispensary. Usually, your user acquisition cost starts from $30 and goes up to $70.
Mm-hmm.
I think the beauty of WeEDAR that if you do everything right, your customer acquisition cost is from 70 cents up to $3 at most. And I think if you can get, let's say it's $3, and for $3,000 you get 1,000 loyal customers, there is just no such tool on the market that can compete with those prices. And that's very important to understand, to understand your metrics, how much your user acquisition cost. And at the end of the day, it's all about user acquisition.
Right, right. Are you making more money than you're spending at the end of the day?
Yep.
So you've recently also partnered up with the Cure Company, and we were just literally talking about some of the numbers and stuff like that. So I guess walk me through, I guess a case study, if you will, essentially. But walk me through how you're working with them, how you've been able to affect their customer retention and stuff like that.
Uh, what really makes me satisfied that I see customer collecting points
Hmm.
and going back to Cure Company as a brand because they can collect points and exchange those points
Hmm.
for product.
Yeah.
Um, I think on average, right now, the conversion rate from amount of how many stickers were labeled and how many stickers converted into loyal customers, we started from 3%, and almost in a month when they updated their packaging, we're getting to 7% of a conversion rate. And I think this number is going to go up. Um, so you see, you're distributing 100,000 QR codes a month. This
Right.
is 7,000 customers every month that you can get information on. You can sell them products. They have a capability to place orders through the platform. You can do a marketing campaign for them.
Hmm.
Um, from a brand owner, I think those numbers are impressive.
Right.
And I would be surprised if somebody would show me a tool that can compete with those numbers.
Right, right. And you mentioned before, so you own a few dispensaries yourself, so you're not just some random person on the street trying to kind of capitalize in the space. What is the process for a brand to get into a store? Because I think, at least me personally, I think WEEDAR would also help out with that because if you have more customer data, if you can say, hey, all of this stuff is going on, I think it would be an easier sell, if you will, to get into other stores because you can say, hey, based on this data, this accurate data that we have of people actually scanning points and stuff like that, we sell
Mhm.
X amount of products, and I think it would be a good fit in your store. Is that kind of like what you would be looking for if a brand personally came to you to get products in your store? Like, what would that look like?
Not necessary. I think the hardest thing for a brand that's really talk to a decision maker,
Sure.
even if store has a purchasing manager usually is overwhelmed with a bunch of brands that trying to get
Mm,
in.
right.
Because if every day you see like 5, 7, 10 brands and bringing you samples and trying to convince you, okay, this is the best brand that's
Yeah.
gonna sell, what we're looking for, we're looking what is the marketing support brand offers and how they promote their product themselves,
Hmm.
as well as the price point and quality.
Hmm.
Um, if those two are on a level that we're really ready to give it a try, we'll try it on consignment usually. Just
Sure.
leave product there
And if it's
and see how it goes. It will sell it like was it within reasonable time frame. Most likely, we will order again.
hmm
Um, if not, we're just not gonna place a second order. But we do
Sure.
give a chance to new brands to try them out. Also, we're doing the research on other dispensaries, what they selling. So
Mm,
another point for us would be how many dispensaries you're already selling to.
right. Right. So, do you have a set allocation to how many brands you introduce into the store at any given period of time, or is it just like, hey, I think we need to kind of freshen things up? Like, kind of what is the typical rotation of new brands that you typically test in any of your stores?
I would say waiting from 3 to 5 new brands every month
Right.
just to try them out. And at the moment of time, we have about from 80 to 100 brands on our shelf.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So now coming slowly to the end of the podcast episode, I always like to ask this question to everyone: is what would you say to maybe you can say both for a brand and dispensary owner because you have the unique perspective to see from both sides. What typically would you say to the dispensary owner first that's looking to take their operation to the next level, and the next level is whatever you deem necessary or you deem for the next level to actually be.
Yeah. Just want to leave it there. As I said, loyalty program gonna be the thing,
Yeah.
and the earlier you guys join WeEDAR or other platforms who offer a loyalty program, the more benefits you're gonna get. And work with professionals. Make sure you found the best in their niche and trust them.
Perfect. And last but not least, where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
It's either LinkedIn or with our website. We
Mhm.
have a contact form. We check in it every day. Um, so either or WEEDAR.io or find us on LinkedIn.
All right, perfect. Well, that's it for another episode today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Like I said, I'm your host, Brandon Kwan, founder of Cannabud Marketing. If you're looking for marketing for your dispensary, you can find me over there. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Brandon.
No worries.
Thanks.
Let's see.